Good morning, world. Welcome to Diskogs Disc 10, episode 12. This is episode 12. It's been a wild ride. I watched the Queen's Gambit this week. I'm getting really into playing chess. Been watching a lot of chess media. I'm getting better. I really related to Beth Harmon, the chess master in that show. She's a great character. I also really like the guy with the leather coat. He was really cool. Yeah, I'm thinking about getting one myself. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, we got a great episode for you. We got a request last week from a Jack Mells in Wellington, New Zealand, to review an album by Antonio Carlos Jobim.
I think it's Jobim.
Antonio Carlos Jobim, 1973, self-titled Jobim.
I think the Brazilian, they go for the je.
See. It has a different title, though, actually. It's Matita Piera or something. That's what Jack Mel's requested. And Christian has selected
Another Brazilian album to keep with the theme. Obviously, Jerry and I don't know any Portuguese, so any pronunciation is going to be based on what people say on the records, but I think closest I can get is Acabou Chorare. On the song, he goes, Acabou Chorare, you know. But it's by Novos Baianos. And I guess I should just address, I did lose my voice a little bit. Sorry about that. I was out last night and there was this cellist street performer. He was just so moving that I had to scream in enthusiasm. But I screamed a little too hard at him and we're left in this state. But I kind of wish this is how I sounded all the time.
It's cool. You sound cool. Nice deep voice. I know from the YouTube statistics, reviewers with deeper, more authoritative voices get more views. So maybe I should lose my voice too. We'll get some more subscribers that way. Let's get right into it. Antonio Carlos Jobim. I'd never heard of this guy or this album before. I listened to it a bunch of times. It has a really nice cover. It looks like kind of like a kid drew it, very playful. Then you put the album on, it's very thought out music. Doesn't seem like whim music. Like the cover's kind of a whim cover. This isn't whim music. This is very thought out, serious music. I love the opening song. When I listened to it, I was like, damn, I wish I spoke Portuguese so I could know what the lyrics are. Then the album closes with the exact same song in English, so I was really, really, really happy about that. The English version has quickly become one of my favorite songs of all time. Really, really good lyrics. The music's really good too. Obviously, I could tell that in the Portuguese version straight away, but yeah, the lyrics are really great. Just a series of images, kind of a list like poem, if you will, and it's called The Waters of March. That's the English title. Kind of just listing all the kinds of things that you might find in a flood in March, which is what happens in Brazil, apparently. Yeah, I love this song. It's a life-affirming song. I feel like it's got me back on track in life, just listening to this song over and over again.
It's April now, it's not March, but it's a very, very wet April. They do say that April showers bring May flowers, but they don't say anything about the March floods.
We're not in Brazil. That's what they say in America. April showers, maybe.
Anyway, Antonio Carlos Jobim is a cool guy. He's one of the two fathers of bossa nova, along with João Gilberto, famous for singing his rendition of The Girl from Ipanema. Mr. Jobim wrote The Girl from Ipanema.
Are you kidding me? So he really invented bossa nova. That's very cool. Legendary. I was so ignorant kind of to this genre as well, and I didn't know it was clearly all started by this one person. The Girl from Ipanema is a classic song, and apparently the Waters of March is also a very well-regarded song already. I just had never heard it somehow.
Well, thanks, Jack from New Zealand, for starting Jerry's belated bossa nova education. I should say I'm not a bossa nova expert, but I've loved the sound of bossa nova for a long time. It's not something that I listen to a lot because sometimes it just sounds a little bit redundant. You have the soft guitar with a very particular chord flavor to them, the soft singing, often with wordy songs, although it's often in Portuguese, so I don't know what they're saying. And it's a very particular feeling, but there often isn't a lot of variety, is what I thought. I'm really happy to have found this Jobim album because it's kind of exactly what I wanted from bossa nova.
Pixies bossa nova, borrowing the title from this genre. Bit of an underrated gem in their discography.
Pixies bossa nova doesn't sound like bossa nova at all. Yeah, the Jobim album. It's exactly what I wanted from bossa nova because it has all the elements of bossa nova with other sounds, other instrumentation, some really complicated song structures, and a more personal songwriterly feeling. Because I knew that Mr. Jobim, I knew him as the big bossa nova songwriter whose songs often got sung by other people. His music never had that personal songwriter feeling that I tend to favor. Albums that sound like a personal message to your brain. And this is really what I was looking for. The vocal delivery feels really emotive, especially on Louisa, the second song, the way he says, Louisa. Really, really moving to me. And then in the later half of the album, there's some very sort of cinematic passages with stabs of strings that sound like they could have come out of a Hitchcock movie. And there are some incredible, my favorite parts of the album are these little piano riffs with weird chords and sort of chromatic. They underscore this kind of rising, swelling string motion. There's a lot going on, but without sacrificing the trappings of bossa nova, which are always really likable. Bossa nova is one of the most likable genres ever. It's soft and it's pleasant and it's easy to listen to despite having musical interest. This album kind of has it all. I really, really enjoyed it and I'm glad to have it in my life.
I also love the mid-album cinema passages kind of thrown in with, the very personal songwriting is a very beautiful listening experience. I'm a big fan of this album. I would love to get it on the turntable. We don't have a copy. I was listening to it on YouTube all week, so that's too bad. But I'm sure one day I'll find it at a record shop and I'll definitely pay upwards of $20 for a copy of this. This is a fantastic album. I would give it a 9 out of 10.
On instinct, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 too. It's still a little fresh in my ears. I only heard it for the first time this week. So maybe that'll change as time goes on. I'm definitely going to keep this album in my repertoire for days and months and years to come.
Absolutely. Keep it in rotation. I'm sure it'll be a welcome to many of your rotations too. It's great. Without further ado, let's move on to the other album.
We talked about the Mars Volta a little while ago, and this Novos Baianos album feels kind of like a precursor to the Mars Volta in that it's a fusion of Latin music with some more bombastic prog rock elements, but unlike the Mars Volta, it's from the 1970s. It sounds, to me, completely fresh. A friend of mine sent me a song on this. I thought it might have been recorded in the 21st century, but no. Maybe if you're Brazilian, this album's super famous. This band, Novos Baianos, they made this album called Acabou Chorare, and it's based in Brazilian samba music, but it also incorporates crazy guitar solos and more traditional rock and roll instrumentation, and I think it's a really interesting piece of music. It has a really sort of community feeling to it, partly because there's two singers who trade off vocals a lot. The album conjures up a feeling of sitting around in a yard and everybody jamming.
Feels like a barbecue album. You'd hear this band in the background while you're frying up some sausages with the family, with the family friends. Just having a great time, I really like this album, and the Mars Volta reference too. That's pretty interesting because there was something about this album I didn't quite like, and I do think it was the Mars Volta energy. Because the songs use all the normal instruments that would be in this kind of music, but they are a little proggy at times. I think at first listen I wasn't that into it, but the more I listened to it, the more I liked it. So this one's a grower for sure. And there's some real energetic electric guitar solos. You're right, they sound very modern.
There's this song called Misterio do Planeta that starts off with this very soft lullaby-ish guitar part, and the guy's crooning like he wants to put you to sleep. And then all of a sudden on the second verse, the drums just kick in and there's this electric guitar and we're moving at this fast pace, but it's like bouncing along. Boom, boom, boom. The first time I heard it, my mind was completely blown. I was not expecting the song to go in that direction at all. The album was full of all these lines that sort of switch swoop in. It's very contrapuntal. The mandolin on the first track, when she does that vocal line that goes like, and the mandolin's playing along with her. Just a lot of like intersecting little parts that make it a really fun listen. Lots of things to pick up. The lady has a really beguiling voice, but I really love it. She sounds almost like a Brazilian Joni Mitchell to me, that kind of timbre. I imagine her as like a digitally animated rodent from like a DreamWorks movie, like Over the Hedge. On the song Chinindo Chindando, she really rocks out. She's doing all that. I also really like the Campo Grande song. O Campo Grande, O Campo Grande. It's a very beautiful melody. Such solid songwriting. What happened? What happened to songwriting?
An interesting thing on this album, as well as the Jobim album, is both albums feature the same song twice. The Jobim one, as I mentioned, the first song, Waters of March, is in Portuguese, and then it ends with the same instrumental track exactly, but with a new vocal take in English. This album, the second song, can't remember what it's called.
Preta Pretinha.
Preta Pretinha, yes, that's the second track, and then it ends with the same track. I really like that in albums when they do this throwback. A lot of them do it in like a little reprise track that's not a full song, like in Sgt. Pepper's or something. There's that little reprise, which is fine, but I kind of think it's much cooler when you just do the whole song again. I really like it. It's very effective on both the Jobim and the Novos Baianos album. I would say maybe if I did speak Portuguese, I wouldn't like the inclusion of the English version of the Jobim song, but yeah, I'm not Portuguese, so I can't really say.
I looked it up, and the English version was only on the English release. So it's interesting how something like that, it still becomes a structural decision. So when you listen to it, it's part of the experience, and you're right, it is kind of nice. It just shakes things up. It's weird to hear him speaking English after all that Portuguese, but it's kind of cool. What a cool guy. Just invented a genre. Can you even do that? He's like, I don't know, Skrillex invented dubstep.
I know Neil Young, the godfather of grunge.
Major Skrillex.
He's a bit of a Skrillex figure. Yeah, this was a great album too. I didn't like it quite as much as Jobim, but I would give it a 7 out of 10. Solid as hell. Probably won't listen to it that much again, but maybe I will, and maybe it'll grow even more on me.
Yeah, I'd give this album like an 8 out of 10. It's not as emotional an experience as the Jobim, for sure. It's more of a party album, but it's great fun. It's great to party to.
Alright, so that was episode 12 of Disc Den. I forgot to ask Christian, did you receive any calls this week for our new Disc Den hotline?
I have not received any calls yet, but things are still early. 1 week is not really enough time to, you gotta let it percolate. I imagine I'm going to get some calls really soon. Yeah, please call the hotline. You can give me an album request too. You don't just have to send them to Jerry. You could give them to me.
Alright, thanks for watching. See you next week.